First, the emptiness of the heart that remains unfulfilled even after exhaustion. Hello, everyone. Have you ever experienced this? You lived a life of hard work, yet now, looking back, it feels like your heart has become completely empty. When you were young, you were brimming with energy, and a moment of rest would quickly restore you. But as you age, no matter how much you rest, you may feel lethargic, like a depleted battery, or suffer from an emptiness as if the well of your heart has dried up. We constantly try to fill this emptiness with something, a new hobby, a new encounter, or more material possessions. But Lao Tzu advises, the reason you become depleted is because you strive to fill it. The teachings of Chapter 6 of the Tao Te Ching that we will share today are the paradoxical truth that the most powerful and eternal vitality arises from the most empty place. Through this wisdom, we will discover the eternal energy of life, which never dries up no matter how much we use. Second, the spirit of the valley, the wisdom of humility. Lao Tzu calls the source of eternal vitality the spirit of the valley. The spirit of the valley never dies. Think of a valley, a vale. A valley is always at its lowest point. While a mountain peak towers majestically and attracts the world's attention, a valley is always hidden and humble. But where does vitality lie? A mountain peak may be tall and powerful, but it cannot hold water, making it prone to dryness and deprivation. On the other hand, a valley, always in its lowest position, takes in all the water and moisture of the world. For this reason, the valley never dries up, and the water of life always flows. Trees and grass flourish. Lao Tzu says that in this attitude of humility and acceptance, eternal vitality lies hidden. The same holds true for our lives. The moment we strive to reach the heights and insist on our own opinions, our minds become tense, exhausted, and easily dry. However, when we humble ourselves, humbly accept the opinions of others and the flow of life, and empty our hearts, all the good energy and wisdom of the world naturally flow into us, enriching our lives. This is the wisdom of humility that the spirit of the valley teaches us. Third, the mysterious mother, the power of conception and creation. Lao Tzu again calls this spirit of the valley the mystical woman or mother. He calls it the mysterious mother. The mysterious mother symbolizes the source of life and creation. Consider this. All life in the world begins in the dark, quiet, and empty space of the mother's womb. The womb doesn't try to force anything. It simply accepts and embraces the seed with quiet humility. In this acceptance and empty embrace, the greatest creation of life takes place. This means that the force that appears most gentle, most tranquil, and most passive is actually the most powerful creative force in the world. In the second half of life, we must no longer rely on the power of the father who strives to achieve something from the external world, but rather on the power of the mother who quietly empties herself and conceives new life. Rather than trying to force something, when we prepare by quietly listening to our inner voice, and rather than trying to forcefully improve relationships, when we warmly embrace and wait for the other person, the most beautiful and harmonious fruit of life will be born. Fourth, the roots of heaven and earth, the source that never dries up. Lao Tzu calls this mystical mother's gate the roots of heaven and earth. The mystical mother's gate is called the roots of heaven and earth. The water we drink ultimately comes from groundwater deep within the earth. This groundwater doesn't easily dry up, even in droughts without rain.
This is because it is connected to the deepest part of the earth, the roots. Similarly, when our lives are connected to the roots of heaven and earth, we are supplied with wisdom and energy that never dries up. This root is not our possessions or social status, but our deepest self, a heart emptied of greed and humbled with humility. When we humble ourselves like the spirit of the valley and embrace like the mystical mother, we connect with this eternal source. Thanks to this connection, no matter what hardships we face or what possessions we lose, we are constantly supplied with the strength to rise again and the courage to start anew. Fifth, infinite embracing power. The more we use, the fuller we become. Lao Tzu concludes by emphasizing the power of this spirit of the valley. It is faint and seemingly invisible, but it never runs out no matter how much you use it. This is the greatest comfort and promise of Lao Tzu's philosophy. Being faint and seemingly invisible means that we cannot grasp its power with our rational minds or eyes. It cannot be grasped through logic or calculation, but can only be felt with a humble and empty heart. However, this invisible power never runs out no matter how much you use it. When you feel your love, wisdom, and patience depleted, recall the teachings of Lao Tzu. Am I too high, like a mountain peak? Is my heart so filled with greed and stubbornness that there is no room for new life to enter? Lower your heart like a valley. Empty it like a billows. At that moment, the vessel of your life will connect with the eternal underground water, and you will experience the miracle of becoming more and more full the more you use. Sixth, conclusion. The power of life springing from an empty heart. As we live our lives, we often suffer from the compulsion to do something, but Lao Tzu teaches us what we should become, to become an unending valley. From now on, don't force yourself. Willingly descend to the lowest place, and with the gentlest and emptiest heart, embrace all things in the world. This empty leisure is the profoundest wisdom of heaven and earth, which will fill your old age with eternal peace and boundless vitality. Next time, we will discuss the wisdom of leaving oneself behind through the teachings of Chapter 7 of the Tao Te Ching, the reason why heaven and earth can endure forever. I hope this quiet wisdom resonates deeply in your life. Thank you. Subscribe and like to gain unending wisdom. See you again in Chapter 7 of Lao Tzu's Tao Te Ching.